It's your job to develop your people. When I left sports and got into business, I was disappointed in the player development inside of companies. You just hire and fire people? No, you hired the person, you onboarded them, now develop them. And so that's what we're really bringing to our corporate clients. Smart companies are really training and development organizations at their core. And if any leader can get that it's my job to change the culture, it's my job to develop people, training and development is a no-brainer. And that's what we're bringing to our clients. My father was my high school principal. And honestly, that's really when I began to understand leadership. And, throughout my sports career, I had some amazing coaches and I had a few bad ones. And each opportunity I learned. In fact, my first team I played on was called the Eagles. And we did not win one game the whole entire season. And I remember my coach smelled funny. And when you're 7, 8 years old, I didn't know what that meant. He just had this funny smell. Long story short, my first baseball coach was an alcoholic. And he would come to practice drunk every day, set no expectations. We didn't practice hard. We didn't improve. And we were just awful. The good news is that team stayed together. And we got a new coach, same player, new coach. His name was Mike Flagg. And Mike Flagg built our confidence. He set expectations. And by the time we were 12 years old, our team was dominant. And so I saw that transformation. We went from the Bad News Bears with a coach, a leader who was an alcoholic, and bless his heart, he had a problem, but he did not have influence over our team. The same guys, same players, different coach, different leader transformed us into a dominant team. And so that's how I began understanding life before I was even 12 years old. I always was competitive athletically. I always did great socially. But when I got to this high school, I was basically defeated the day school started because all these kids were smart and I never even competed in the classroom. So I transferred to my dad's high school in the hood, in one of the lowest income areas of Chicago. And I saw my dad lead. I saw him operate. I saw him build confidence. I saw him set expectations. And before I knew it, I began to not only have an amazing father, my high school principal was amazing as well. And then I go to college and played for a great coach like Clem Haskins. Coach Haskins was a demander. I mean, he drove you. He made you get better. And every year, his player development was off the chain. That man produced more NBA players than probably any Gopher coach in history. And he wasn't winning any recruiting battles. He would get his hands on a raw talent and he would develop it. And so that's my message for any leader. It's your job to develop your people. When I left sports and got into business, David, I was disappointed in the player development inside of companies. You just hire and fire people? No, you hired the person, you onboarded them, now develop them. Smart companies are really training and development organizations at their core. And if any leader can get that it's my job to change the culture, it's my job to develop people, training and development is a no-brainer. And that's what we're bringing to our clients. Here's the truth. We follow sports and everyone focuses on LeBron and Kobe and Tom Brady. It's so easy for people to focus on the superstars. But there's only a handful of them. Even in the average high school, you got some A students, obviously. You got some brilliant kids. You got some kids causing problems. And we always talk about the 80-20 rule, right? Where 20% of people do, 80% of the work. Or, even in financial services, for example, they always do these events and they take their high performers to these incentive trips. And it's the same people who qualify every year. And I always ask these business leaders, well, what are you doing with your C students? At the University of Minnesota, I was not highly recruited, right? But I sat down with my coach every year and I would ask Coach Haskins, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? And he would tell me, right? You got to lose 15 pounds. You got to work on your left hand. Come on, let's get in the gym and rebuild your jump shot, right? Let's go and practice. Let's work hard, son. Get in better shape. And 4 years later, I'm in the NBA. Of course, he's one of my favorite leaders. Of course, I talk about him all the time, right? So I'll challenge any leader. Are your people talking about you? If I sat down with all of your subordinates and asked them, who is your favorite leader and why? Will they even mention your name, right? And so if you go back in school, we all had that favorite teacher. Why? Because that favorite teacher had impact. They either built our confidence or they supported us or they They work with us one-on-one. I've worked with so many people that the smart companies and smart leaders get this. Your average employee is who you need to focus on. Stop focusing on your top producers and these incentive trips. Your C student, your average performer is 60% of your organization. That's why training and development is so important. Your superstars, they showed up as superstars. Your leadership experience is going to be based on what did you do with your C student? Are you a coach or are you a fruit inspector? You know what it is to inspect fruit. You go to the grocery store and you grab apples and you look at them and say, this apple's good, that's apple's bad. This orange looks good, this orange looks bad. This banana looks good, this banana looks bad. And you're just choosing, right? But a coach, they develop their people. And so fruit inspectors have a high turnover. Okay, fruit inspectors don't build confidence. Fruit inspectors don't build the right culture. They're just trying to get star players to hopefully make them look good. A real coach will take a raw material and say, you know what? This person has potential, but it's my job to help them reach their potential. And so what we do with our leadership trainings and all of our leadership programs, and that's why I wrote the book Swim. The star of the book Swim is a guy named Drew, and he on purpose went and recruited misfits. But he plugged them into their training and development program. And he built an amazing HVAC company with broken people. We have people out here who obviously are imperfect, who are flawed, who have weaknesses. And that's where great coaches come in. And if you can become a great coach as a leader, which simply means I get that you have numbers you have to hit. You have the responsibilities that you have to keep the stock price high. But a big part of your job is player development. What are you doing with your human capital? And if we can teach, David, leaders how important it is. You talk about a trusted leader. Oh, you help me develop. Man, I'm going to trust you. And not only that, I'm going to run through a wall for you. Jerry Sloan just passed away, and I went out to Utah to honor him because he had such an impact on my life because he taught me something very valuable. We didn't scrimmage in practice, and I'm trying to make the team. And I'm trying to figure out, Jerry, we're basketball players, but we don't play basketball. All we did were drills, Dave. All we did were drills. So I go to Jerry Sloan, and I said, Jerry, I'm trying to make your team, but since we don't scrimmage in practice, I feel like I can't show you what I can do. I'm stressing out. My NBA career is on life support. I got a wife. I got 3 kids. But this is what his answer was, Dave. And it really is one of the pillars of our training and development company. And it really changed my life as it relates to life after basketball. He said, Walter, I already know what you can do. But if you want to make my team, I suggest you listen, follow directions, and execute. If you listen, if you follow directions, and if you execute, you'll be fine. So what he was really saying, Dave, is like, look, I want to see if you can follow the Utah Jazz way. I know you're a good ball player on your own, but if you want to make my team, you got to play the Utah Jazz way. Chick-fil-A has a way. Target has a way. So great leaders, great companies build cultures, but most importantly, they create a way and they find the right players that buy into the way. See, if you don't have a way, all the individuals you hire are going to bring their own value system. And if you don't have a way, their individual value systems are going to take over. That's why we have so much dysfunction. That's why we have so much chaos. And the only way you can really build a great organization is being a great leader who understands how to build a way, how to teach a way, and then to find the right players that buy into the way. To me, you have a team, and just like a basketball team, and we teach teamwork. I remember we had a teammate in college. You remember him named Richard Coffey. Richard Coffey could rebound. And that was about it. And I remember being younger, I used to be a little critical. Like, man, you can't shoot, you can't dribble. All he could do was rebound. But you know what? As I matured, I was like, this dude leads the Big Ten in rebounding. In fact, he's like the best 6'6" rebounder I've ever seen in my life. And he made the Timberwolves as an undersized power forward because he was such a great rebounder. And so it really taught me that if you're going to have a great board, your board needs to be diverse. in thought and skill set and ability. And any board I come on, look, don't give me your spreadsheet. Don't talk to me about the fiduciary responsibility, because that's not my specialty. I want to really impact your human capital. And that's why I'm on Jersey Mike's board, because Peter Cancro, the founder, understands the kind of impact I can have on people. And he can find anybody to do the CFO and the spreadsheet and all the other responsibilities. But I'm on his board because he wants me to impact his people. And he said many times, Walter, we're in the people business. You're an expert with people, and I need your voice. My people need to hear your voice, not only internally, but externally. This man used me. I did 25 keynotes across the country for all of his managers. Think about that. I mean, these kids are 17, 19, 20, 21 years old. He invested in the managers. Why? Watch this analogy. If someone's in great shape, all you got to do is check their abs, their midsection. Don't tell me you're in shape and you got a flabby stomach. Right. So to me, a great organization that's going to be in shape, you got to get leadership baked all the way down to that middle manager. And a lot of companies aren't willing to invest and spend time developing the middle manager. That's why McDonald's is so special. Why they created a hamburger university, and the focus was the middle manager. Until you get down to that middle manager, you really have not built a culture. You know, here's the truth that all leaders need to understand. At a subconscious level, this is what people think. If I can reach my potential here, I stay. If I can't reach my potential here, I leave. It happens in sports, it happens in business, it happens in life. It happens in marriage, it happens in every organization. It's embedded in our DNA. Can I reach my potential here? So the challenge for any leader is that you have to be able to convince the day you hire someone that you can reach your potential here. And matter of fact, I'm going to make sure you do, because that is my job for you to reach your potential here. If you can't reach your potential here, that's when you have high turnover. Okay, that's when you have apathy. That's when you have poor alignment. Why? Because they're not convinced I can reach my potential here.